With the Boogie Woogie Man Jimmy Valiant and Pistol Pez Whatley.
Let me tell you something. Number one, baby. That's what it stands for. Jim Crockett Promotions. You know why? Because worldwide wrestling is number one across the world. Get the best wrestling in the world. And can't nobody say nothing else. And I want you to understand that. Woo! And I want to let everybody know. Dusty Rhodes, he wasn't jiving on Anderson. Look out, Tully Blanchard. He coming your way. He gonna whoop you more than you ever been whooped before. Nikita, I know you've been talking that jive, been backing out, but Magnum, woo, he full of life, and then he gonna take care of business on you. Woo! All right now.
Jones! Build that on me, baby! Because Davy Crockett, right here, is the best black athlete in the world! Pistol Pez Whatley, my brother!
What? What are you doing? Hey!
I'll tell you, black boy! I'll let you throw his
We'll be back.
This is the Pro Wrestling Spotlight, presented by HAMIN Media and the Pro Wrasslin Reflection, where we discuss the very best of the best in pro wrestling history.
And what you gonna do when Hulkamania and the largest arms in the world run wild on you?
The two soundest wrestlers in the World Wrestling Federation, maybe in the history of the World Wrestling Federation, are right here, right now. Mr. Perfect and the excellence of execution, the Hitman.
WrestleMania weekend isn't complete without the Heartbreak Kid, and he is on his way.
He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family.
They think they got the answers. I change the question.
You will rest in peace.
Get used to it. In Ric Flair, who you're looking at, the man.
Yes, man! What the
What is going on there, Reflectionites? Oh my God, it's so fucking cold out there. I don't know what happened, but you know what? Global warming, global cooling, climate change is a real thing. There is, 40 states out of the 50 that are experiencing a foot of snow. Bombay, New Jersey got it. Boston got it. Chicago got it. Detroit Rock City got it. Dallas got it. You know, a lot of states got snow. And you know what? The difference between certain states like Detroit and Bombay, New Jersey, and Dallas, certain states can, quote unquote, handle the snow. Certain states, the people in those states say it's an inconvenience. Oh God, my foot's gonna be a little bit wet, but I can get to the supermarket. I can get to my workstation. I can do the little things, but it's gonna be a little bit delayed. Certain places like Dallas, Texas, I was there for a snowstorm. TW, I kid you not. 2 inches of snow. You and I could walk through it. Cars were stuck. They didn't know what the fuck to do. They did not have the capabilities to make it, salvageable. They did not have the capabilities to make Dallas, keep working. People say they're going to go to Dallas because it's going to be the next business center of the world. Oh, cool. But if you can't handle maybe 2 inches of snow, then fuck you, because that's why people come to New York, because we can handle a foot. We can handle 2 feet of snow. Detroit Rock City can handle 2 feet of snow. And you know what we say? God damn it. Just don't mess my train up, man. God damn it. Don't mess my bus up. I got to get to work. But neither here nor there. But this is the winter storm of 2026. But since we are in Royal Rumble weekend and we are going to be starting on the precipice of Black History Month, welcome to the PWR podcast here at the HAMIN Media Group at podbean.com, and welcome to the 155 subscribers to the Professor's YouTube channel. Again, it's the little engine that could. I'm not buying bots. I'm not buying subscribers. If they subscribe, kudos to them. Hopefully you will enjoy the content because me and TW are enjoying producing the content for you. But with that being said, I must introduce myself because I'm vain like that. I must introduce myself so I can get a little bit younger and, of course, get a little bit warmer with this winter storm going on. I am the charismatic one. I am the affluent one. But most importantly, I am the glorious one. The only objective man and by God, y'all, we need an objective person out there. The only objective man in this IWC, YWC, PWC punditry. The only objective man in this Twitterverse. The only objective man in this political hemisphere. I call it right down the middle. You know why I'm a centrist, Reflectionites? Because I'm balanced. I'm a balanced common sense guy. I don't go left. I don't go right. I stay centered. That means I stay grounded, motherfuckers. I'm the Professor Chababa Cruz, and I'm not here alone. No. I'm here with my brothers from another mother, the conservative liberal conservative, the solo idiot, Dr. Frickenstein, and the undisputed, undeniable Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world and rocking the Lex Luger United States Heavyweight title. Tommy Wonder, how you doing, my friend?
This is such a beautiful belt. It is. If they made a WWE version, I'd buy it. This is very thin. But like I tell people all the time, it's going on a shelf. It ain't like I'm touring the neighborhood defending it. So it doesn't have to be top of the line. This is just beautiful. It's a beautiful belt. Look at it.
It is a beautiful belt.
I'm glad I started buying belts. I don't need to buy any more. I got to remind myself that all the time.
In the fandom of belts, that belt, that's the bar. That's the bar setter.
I don't know. The IC
for United States belts.
Oh,
you can't get no better for the United States belt than that belt.
Certain.
You can't get no better with the WCW than the big gold belt, and you can't get no better than the WWE belt with the winged eagle. I mean, the bar has been set.
And the IC title. And the World Television. And by the way, that's NWA. That is not WCW.
Well, you know what I mean. But it's the Lex Luger belt.
That's the Lex Luger belt's also the WCW World Heavyweight Championship right here.
Mm-hmm.
This little bad boy right here. I call that the Lex Bex belt. Others call it the Vader belt. I think you called it the Sting belt once. But last week I showed you the Ultimate Warrior as Blanca. So now I don't know. This is non-wrestling related, but I think what's his name? I almost called him Nate, then I almost called him Professor. What's the guy's name? One guy. Looks like Empty Promises from Great Space Coaster. He sounds like Peebo Bryson when he sings in the subway all the time with his earbuds in. What's that guy's name? Billy Ray Valentine? No, not Billy Ray Valentine.
Billy Ray Cyrus?
8-Track Black? No, not him. Big Ray. I think Big Ray would get a kick out of this. You ready?
How the hell you get confused with 8-Track and Big Ray? That don't make no sense.
You don't even understand what I just did there.
And I have no idea.
This is behind the curtain stuff I just did. Ray knows what I did.
Good for you. And
that is
Masters of the Universe?
Yeah. It's Skeletor as Megatron.
Oh, so that's a combo?
You're not even looking.
No, that's a combo.
It's a crossover.
Okay.
And I got it for $9.89 because it's normally $30. And I'm playing the long game, as they say, because the new two, this is this character from He-Man I didn't even know about called Scareglow. It looks like Skeletor, but with a glow-in-the-dark skeleton face. Not the same bony face. And he is Starscream. And then He-Man is Optimus Prime. So Tony got me a Skeletor for my Christmas gifts. And I got myself a He-Man, and I bought a 2-pack of He-Man and Skeletor together from Target for half off. So I'm gonna put it on a display. I'm gonna have a bookshelf like these, and one row is gonna be G.I. Joe, one row is gonna be Batman and Superman, one row is gonna be Universal Monsters, and then Marvel I got hanging on walls in my bathroom. I got my basement bathroom's all Marvel.
Wait, you take a shit with Marvel characters in the bathroom?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So already the value is already gone because the shit particles are on them. Okay.
But it's going to be Universal Monsters, the four goats. Boris Karloff made the cut twice because he's Frankenstein, the Mummy. Then I got Bela Lugosi, Dracula, Lon Chaney Jr., Wolfman, and the Invisible Man, which is a lot of people don't know this. Nope, I'm wrong. The voice of the voice of Charlie on Charlie's Angels was John Forsythe. Did you know that? Blake Carrington was the voice of Charlie. But I thought he was also the Invisible Man, but he was not. But I thought he'd get a kick out of that. But there's also Man-at-Arms as Bumblebee, but I don't want that one. I just want Skeletor and He-Man, because otherwise I'll start collecting a whole nother line. And then I got...
Well, you're going to have to collect a new line of He-Man because the movie's coming out soon. And it's going to be a whole...
I only get the ones that look like the ones when I was a kid. And then these bad boys, this is the other shelf. There's going to be 5 shelves. Did I say G.I. Joe already?
Yes, you did.
Well, G.I. Joe, one shelf's going to be Cobra Commander, Destro, Duke. I think I'm going to bite the bullet and get Scarlet. And then the other one is all Dreadnoughts. Torch, Ripper, Chainsaw, Xandar, Monkey Wrench.
You're not going to get Serpentor?
He's very expensive. If they re-release him, he's cheaper. Serpentor's a badass dude. So is Nemesis.
Just saying, yeah. I used to have Serpentor.
And I have Storm Shadow, but I don't have a good Snake Eyes. I got the stupid movie version. I don't collect movie version stuff because like all my Marvel is comic book or cartoon, because I don't want Chris Evans on a shelf. I do have Thor, but he's wearing that mask with the big axe, Stormbringer. But yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Like I said, the new He-Man's coming out, so maybe you might have to upgrade to the new stuff for your.
No, because I won't do the actors. I'm not gonna do the actors. I only do the cartoons.
Well, if He-Man becomes $1 billion industry right now, you never know what Jared Leto Skeletor is gonna be a lot of money in years to come. But anyway, neither here nor there. We can move on because again, we're not collectibles right now. We are the nostalgic podcast here at the PWR podcast.
It is nostalgia, He-Man and G.I. Joe,
but we're wrestling nostalgia. We're not ring collectibles.
Well, to be fair.
But anyway, let's get on with the show because again, we are in Royal Rumble season. Oh God. And
you're doing a lot of blaspheming today. I think you're up to 10 blasphemies already.
I haven't blasphemed. You're gonna now spit. You're gonna be spitting.
You have said GD about 7 times and OMG about 3.
Well, goddamn you! When you're gonna spit on the show.
8.
And then 8. I'm gonna hear. My goodness, I'm
gonna hear that from behind when you're in the Blue Oyster Bar.
Well, you had those noises at the Diddy party last week of the last recording, but again, neither here nor there. So we are gonna get into this. What?
Christopher, we're friends again on Facebook. We're back. Like his post, he likes my post.
Chris
PPW.
Oh, cool. Well, now he's waiting for the autograph and newsflash. Donnie Day won an autograph of TW or Calavera Cortez or whatever pictures you got. So, if you want to just be friends with him on the Facebook at Tommy Wonder. So he will find you, or Tom Bryant, whichever way it goes. But follow him there and he probably will hook you up. But you know what? You got to pay I get a finder's fee. I get 10%. So, we work on that.
10%. You pay the shipping. That's what, and the cost of the photo. That's what I paid for.
Well, if I'm getting you people to sign off, I want a 10% finder's fee. But again, neither here nor there. Let's get on with this Spotlight Edition TW. It is again Royal Rumble season. And of course, we are just one day away from Black History Month. And it was apropos to combine 2 of them with this episode itself. Because again, we are going to talk about greatest babyface turns. And there are 2 of them for African Americans. One is probably a top 5 greatest babyface turn in WWE history. And the other one, which is a bonus, is a very infamous turn that people are going to mistake it for being a heel turn, but the professor will teach y'all why it's a babyface turn. But we'll get into that as a bonus. But we are going to celebrate for Black History Month TW from Royal Rumble 1991, where, well, he was known as Soul Man Jones in the Mid-South territory, but then when he got to the WWF, Vince McMahon gave him the name Virgil as a rib to Virgil Runnels, aka the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. And the character of Virgil, we all know this, TW. This was a marriage made in heaven for television purposes, because for Virgil to be associated with the $1 Million Man, one of your favorite wrestlers of all time, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, it was salt and pepper. It was ebony and ivory, but it worked. From 1987 Reflectionites to 1991, respectively, TW, these two were inseparable, and these two had so much chemistry. And the chemistry is so funny, TW, because during that time, from 87 to 91, Virgil did not say one effing word, but he had a look. He had a stoic look. The eyes never lied and all that stuff.
He had a one of them these days. Right in the kisser. Pow.
And he had a solid right hand, but also he kept the money. He was the man holding $100 bills in his suit, or whatever this case may be. But TW, before we even talk about one of the greatest babyface turns in WWE history and how we got there, what say you about one of your favorite wrestlers of all time, $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, with Virgil? Did it help the $1 Million Man character, or did they help each other? Did they need each other for the success that they had in the WWE?
Yes. The first and foremost answer is yes. For two reasons. One, you hit it on the nail. All right. You said he didn't say a word for how long was he with DiBiase? Probably a year or two, eh?
For 4 years.
4 years. They probably could have pulled the trigger sooner, but Soul Train Jones, I remember him in the Aftermags. And I immediately was like, "Oh, dude, I like this guy. I want to see him wrestle." Because who did he remind me of? Apollo Creed in wrestling, right? Black guy, the red, white, and blue stuff. I really didn't know about the Black Superman and Rocky Johnson. That was before my time. So I saw him. So when he got to WWE as Virgil, I don't know that I knew right away that it was him. But I knew eventually it was, and I got bummed out. Because I was like, what the hell? Which is also why DiBiase needed him. DiBiase was coming from the UWF, where he was arguably the biggest babyface there, him or Dr. Death. I would say him.
Oh, wait. TW, before anything, it's Soul Train Jones, not Soul Man. I just want to correct myself.
Soul Train Jones. I couldn't tell if it was Jones and Johnson that was wrong, or Soul Man or Soul Train. It was Soul Train Jones, yeah. And so DiBiase needed Virgil or someone like him to just make you hate him, because he was coming from being one of the most popular guys in magazines and UWF for sure. So he comes there, and someone like me, who I wasn't quite into cheering on the heels yet, like I eventually would with Rick Rude, Macho Man, Razor Ramon, a couple years later. But it made you hate him, because how he treated little kids, how he treated Virgil, how he treated some of my favorite wrestlers, all of it. He needed Virgil to basically show you what a piece of shit he was, and now you hate him. And Virgil, which the whole point I made about him not talking, is he wasn't a good promo. He's on the below Rick Martel area, if we're using him as the bar. And so he needed to not talk. He needed to build it up. And again, I don't know that it took 4 years, because he definitely was popular once he started wrestling and became a babyface and did his thing, and his promos were brutal.
Well, it was brutal when he turned good guy in 1991 and all that stuff. We'll talk about that in a couple of seconds. But now with the character, TW, we have to look at the optics. We have to look at what Vince McMahon was trying to get to. Not only you are correct in Virgil, not saying anything, but the look of $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, what was he? The image of the $1 Million Man. He was pompous, he was arrogant, he was affluent, and he was a capitalistic swine. He had all the money, and
narcissist. He was a narcissist. All that stuff equals narcissist.
He was a narcissist, but he had the money to flaunt, and he had the money to flaunt to the commoners, if you will. And remember the good stuff that he did. He made a woman bark. He made Rob Van Dam kiss his boots. He made a 8-year-old black kid cry when he couldn't dribble the basketball. All that stuff. But what did you have behind it? You had Virgil holding his arms, just looking at it. That's all it was. It was just a great image to see these two get all this heat.
And it evolved. It evolved because he wasn't shitty to Virgil at first. Mm-hmm. And Virgil looked like, what are you going to do about it? Like, he was there to do his job.
Right. He was there to do his job. But then the optics that Vince McMahon was trying to get out of there, maybe TW might agree or disagree or have a different take on this, but he wanted to tap into a little bit of, I don't want to call it race baiting, TW, but the look of a white man having control of a black man like this. Now, not looking at it as 12 years a slave. I'm not trying to say that, but the image and the imagery of Vince McMahon was very paramount here, that he was trying to make Virgil look like the HN were Reflectionites. And you already know what the HN means, TW, so I'm not going to say that. But he took the money, so he lived quite comfortably. He had his own place in the attic and all this shit. This is, again, the image that Vince McMahon wanted to put out there. Everybody has a price for the $1 Million Man. So Virgil, he checked his morals at the door, and as long as you paid me, I will do the dirty deeds. What say TW about what Vince McMahon wanted to try to get out of the optics for the fans? He made him even more.
So I don't think the aim was to make it look like black man controlled by white man, because you said something while you were describing it. That woman that barked was not black. Rob Van Dam is not black. Other people that he got to do stuff were not black. That kid with the basketball was. Ironic that it was a basketball. Yeah, no, maybe. It's up to you. And then Virgil. But the clip you sent me of the guy interviewing him said it best. If that was Steve Kern, the angle would have played exactly the same. And what it made me think is Virgil and DiBiase, towards the end, not the whole run, was exactly the same as Jimmy Garvin having to be a ranch hand for Kevin Von Erich or whoever he lost that match to, or he had his ranch hand.
It was David Von Erich.
He had his ranch hand for 7 days, and his life was miserable. It's kind of like The Simple Life with what your favorite chick, Paris Hilton and Lionel Richie's daughter, where they're doing something they don't want to do, they're embarrassed. But it's opposite. He didn't lose as the bad guy to be it, but he isn't. But at the end of the day, the point was everybody had a price, and Virgil had a price. He did all that stuff for the money. But what they eventually made play out was it wasn't for the money's sake. It was for the money because he needed it to help his mother and his family, and DiBiase would hold it over his head. So it's almost a blackmail. But he's called Virgil is a rib to Dusty Rhodes, and the receipt is taken in 10 years later when in 97 he's called Vincent in the NWO, which is now a shot at Vince McMahon, which is petty, clever, but also he was doomed to fail there the second he became Vincent, because then now he's just the joke, he's the punchline. So, but I like what the guy said to DiBiase, and DiBiase did the what we would call cringeworthy thing of saying, Meltzer called me a racist junkyard dog, who was a great wrestler in his own right, and I guarantee he stopped himself from saying he was a good wrestler for a black guy, was he was about to say. And then he goes, was my best man in my wedding, so you ain't calling me a racist. So I like that he defended himself, and I feel like that interview guy was almost agreeing with Meltzer, and the second DiBiase said that, he went, yeah, I didn't think it was racist at all. And then, but like he said, he's the one that brought up that, if that was Steve Kern, or if DiBiase was slick, or if he was Butch Reed doing it to Virgil, no one would equate it to master slave, if you will.
But again, Vince McMahon was very, I wouldn't say cavalier, but he knew how to push the buttons.
And that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. I don't think that was the purpose of the angle, but I know he's not stupid. He knew the usual suspects were going to call it that.
Right. That's all.
And like the guy said in the interview, there ain't no way they're doing that today without both guys being black, both guys being white, or DiBiase's black and Virgil's white. That's the only way that's going to happen in 2026.
Again, that was. I'm not going to say the beauty of wrestling, TW, because again, could you get away with a lot of things that were pop culture-ish? Yeah.
But you know what's unfair? You know what's unfair?
What's unfair?
Because wrestling is entertainment, just like Django Unchained, and they made Django Unchained in the last 10 years, right? So everything in that movie is horrible, but it's talking about something that happened once upon a time in the modern day. You know, remember Jackie Brown, where Spike Lee went after Quentin Tarantino because of how many times Sam Jackson said the N-word, and he said he was making them the HN, as you called it, and and then Quentin Tarantino was like, "That's not what I did," and then Sam Jackson goes, "Forget you, Spike." He goes, "I added N-bombs in there because I wasn't saying it enough in that script, so I said it more because that's how real people talk in the situation we were in." And so you're always going to have people that are going to look at the cosmetic of it, and then jump to their own conclusions. And some of them are projecting. So, you know, the Karens, if you will, are like, no, you can't do that. Other people don't care and just watch it for what it is. And inevitably, it is the reason Virgil got to sell toy figures and make money and tour and be the babyface and everyone, because everyone wanted to see him get his due on DiBiase for the way he was treated.
Yeah. So now we'll go into 1990 because that was a very interesting year for the dynamic of Virgil and Ted DiBiase. And you kind of harped on it right there because he had something over Virgil because no one really knew why Virgil agreed to do what he has been doing for the last couple of years, Reflectionites. So now we get an inkling of it, but you needed a protagonist to influence Virgil to break, I don't want to say break the chains, but break away from the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and that was Roddy Piper. He was trying to get him to be, and this is, again, TW, this is nothing racial, but he just said he did not feel that Virgil needed to be associated with Ted DiBiase. He can stand up and be his own man. Had nothing to do with racial stuff. But now, remember the vignettes that introduced $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase to the masses? He embarrassed everybody else. What was very, very slick, not the manager slick, TW, but very slick of Vince McMahon, was they produced new vignettes, and the vignettes was to show how influential Ted DiBiase's money was to Virgil. That started a great storyline, and that started where the God damn it, how many times you gonna spit, man? Jesus Christ. In a boxing match, 3 minutes, then you spit, and then you go back to fighting. You don't spit while you're fighting. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. But again,
you're doing the talking. I'm just listening.
But I'm hearing you spitting. But anyway, neither here nor there. But during those vignettes, TW, it was very, like I said, slick for Vince McMahon to do more vignettes for Ted DiBiase, but now he hones in on the mental abuse, the mental manipulation that he has over Virgil. And what did he make? And what those vignettes showed, TW, was the simple things of why he is, being employed by Ted DiBiase. What does he have to do? He's got to drive his car, which he already did in the beginning, but now he has to show that Virgil has to open the doors for Ted DiBiase and drive him anywhere. He's got to massage him. He's got to take the toe jam off his toes. He's got to clean up the dog shit or the horse shit from the farms and all that stuff. Why? Because Virgil is paying for his mother or grandmother's medical insurance or something like that. They were sick, but he's doing it but the reasons that he is doing it makes the fans like you and I say, God damn, Ted, you a bastard for that. You're just, I understand everybody has a price, but God damn it, you're embarrassing my man for doing it for the right reasons. What say TW about what the 19 naughty vignettes did?
They were necessary because in the beginning, if I'm not mistaken, Virgil would step in between people that got in DiBiase's face. So it looked like he was being the bodyguard, the muscle, and you weren't going to stop DiBiase. He was going to do what he wanted to do. Like he was a good hand, as Travis says. And then, you know, if all of a sudden he just turns on DiBiase, then there's no sizzle on the steak, if you will. It's just a turn for the sake of turn. But when you make it look like, you know, again, racial or not racial, now he's being oppressed by him because he's holding him under his thumb because he needs the money that's coming in. The funny thing is here we are, me in my 50s, you almost in the 50s, and we should have known that motherfucker don't need to work for DiBiase. He's in the WWE, but we don't. We think he's literally just on TV because Vince just said, all right, you can bring your guy out if you want, but we're not paying him. You're paying him, you know. So that's the funny part. But you had to do it to humanize him and to erase, if you will, the part he played before the angle where he was in on it. Because I'm pretty sure he slapped people with money after DiBiase knocked him out with the $1 Million Dream. I think he did a lot of stuff that if we look back on the tapes, he was a participant, not necessarily forced to be there.
Let me ask you this question here, because like you said, like we all know, well, as fans, as mark-tards as we are, TW, we know that the name Virgil was a dig at Dusty Rhodes.
I think we knew it then.
Well, I knew the name Virgil Runnels, but I didn't know. I didn't know it was a dig at Dusty Rhodes. But again, neither here nor there. But what we know now, being that the name was a dig for him, those vignettes, what does that have to do with Dusty Rhodes being a dig at him? You know, taking the toe jam and wiping off the couch.
He was calling him Ted Turner's bitch.
Well, maybe Jim Crockett first. I don't know about Ted Turner, but I would agree with you. But I thought it was a partnership.
But it was on TBS. So Dusty's doing whatever he can to stay on TBS is what I would take it as.
That's what you were saying? Okay, I'm just saying. But again, like we already know it's a dig at Dusty Rhodes, but then when those vignettes and Dusty Rhodes was there, you know what I mean?
That's the beauty that this turn happens with Dusty there.
Yeah, that's
Dusty's on his way out though, right?
Yeah, he's on his last year of the contract, and then he
was only there a year.
No, he was there from '89 to Royal Rumble '91, and then he left for WCW.
That's what the turn was 91, right? Or was it 90?
91.
So that was his last match. That was
the
his
vignettes.
last match.
The evolution of the vignettes started, but that's neither here nor there. But the evolution of Virgil and DiBiase was with the massages, Reflectionites, the cow shit cleanups, and all that stuff. Now you got to do some things in the ring, Reflectionites. So while Roddy Piper is trying to influence Virgil to break away from his slave master, if you will, Reflectionites, there are certain instances inside the ring, TW, where the fans, the 10,000 fans in the arena, have got to see something. So one of those like glimmers of hope that we as fans had for a face turn was when a $1 Million Man said, "Give me my $100," snaps his fingers, "Give me my $100 bill," and Virgil's holding that money, but doesn't want to give that $100 bill just yet, Reflectionites. And what does he do? He drops it. And TW, the roar of 10,000 fans just for that symbolic gesture of Virgil just shows you that Vince McMahon is like, my God, it's working. The fans understand. What say you about that simplistic thing? But I have to say this. Once Ted DiBiase said, "Don't forget your mother. Don't forget your grandmother. Don't forget what I do for them." Then he gets on his knees. Then you're like, oh, there's like a gasp. 10,000 people were roaring like he's going to beat the shit out of Ted DiBiase. And then 10,000 people are gasping like, damn, we almost had it. What's the ATW about the simplistic thing?
It's how you know you got him. It's Luger and Razor Ramon coming to blows on a house show to see who gets cheered. And 2 weeks later, they're both baby faces because they cheered both of them. So if they don't pop for that, then they probably scrap the angle. So it's the testing in the waters, if you will.
Well, it's funny you say testing in the waters, but let's say if it didn't get that reaction that Vince hoped, how could you like pivot? What would you do?
You would just have him feud with Piper instead. You have him beat Piper up and Virgil, and then you have Piper and Virgil feud.
Oh, okay. Well, you make it sound so simple and yet so poignant right there. But now we get to the piece de resistance at Royal Rumble 1991 TW. It was Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes, father and son, teaming against the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, and now in his first, I would say, pay-per-view debut, because besides maybe Superstars or Wrestling Challenge, Virgil only fought maybe like 5 times that I can remember during that 4-year span. Because I remember he fought Hogan and shit like that, but it was like I said, with like Superstars and Wrestling Challenge, it was very blasé, if you will. So this is his first pay-per-view. I don't want to call it debut, but it was his first big-time match. So it was Virgil and Ted DiBiase against the Rhodes Gang. So TW, take it over with what you saw and how great it was for the storytelling.
The match?
Yeah.
I didn't watch that damn match. I watched the minute and 18 seconds Virgil DiBiase that you showed me. One thing that so the reason I asked you is if Dusty was on his way out is because the thing that doesn't make sense to me is they won. And then he starts talking shit to Virgil after a win. So it would have made more sense to me. I know Virgil hit him because Dusty was being held. He ducked. DiBiase got hit by Virgil. They popped for that. And then something else happened.
And what did DiBiase do? He beat the shit out of Virgil, still with the match going on.
Right, the flare chop, he just beat the shit out of him. But they won. That's what I'm saying. Like, then he goes on the mic after and basically tells Virgil, you idiot, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, this doesn't make sense because you won. He pinned Dusty, right? But again, it was building up to this. But it just would have made more sense to me if DiBiase gets pinned and then blames it on Virgil, and that's when it goes down. But other than that, it was cool to see Dusty and Dustin teaming together. Weird that he lost, but then I thought, I bet you this was his last match. And then he's just losing on the way out like you're supposed to. Dustin, I think, was still there a little bit longer.
No, he left with his father. And
he did leave at the same time because Dustin's first match was against DiBiase, where he had to survive 10 minutes or whatever it was, his debut on Superstars. And but I don't know if that was the start of this feud. He would have had to been there for a year, right? You signed a year deal.
The feud started in SummerSlam because remember, Ted DiBiase took Sapphire away from Dusty Rhodes, so that was the program from SummerSlam to Royal Rumble, and then all the parts.
So DiBiase won the feud. He got the girl. He got the win.
Yeah, he got the win.
I do like that Virgil was wearing like the Ron Simmons purple pants, right, with white boots and everything. He had this on. I'll show you. Virgil was wearing this gear. Like he borrowed it from Ron after that 92. No, it was before the 92 win. But he lost all credibility when he started wearing the barber pole stripes. It was over after that.
Well, again, it was purple, maybe burgundy. I don't know if it was purple, but it was burgundy with white stripes.
It looked just like this with a white top and white boots.
Well, again, who cares? If I'm colorblind, all right? Is that all right? Can I be colorblind?
Well, you're also watching on a black and white TV. There's that too. So,
well, we all did. No, I'm talking
about today.
Yeah, well, we all do. So we don't have the money. We got to save our money for the rent. That's all I'm saying. But anyway,
you need to get me a hold of the NBA so I can get you a raise. Maybe you could play with that girl that held up that sign. Whatever the hell, that 2-time MVP I never heard of until she held up the sign.
2-time EBT? You mean MVP?
I said MVP, motherfucker.
So you said EBT. I heard what you said.
EBT is what I said. No, what? The WNBA players are on EBT cards. But anyways, what's the name of the game? It was called the Riverbend game or something? What?
No, that has nothing to do with us.
Unrivaled.
That's Unrivaled.
Yeah. AEW. That was an AEW basketball game. It's like,
Unrivaled is AEW. We're the WNBA. We're the WWE. We're the flagship. So it neither here nor there. But the point is, Reflectionites, during this match, one of the greatest cheap heat moments where the crowd was so pissed at DiBiase. I don't think even the win, nobody cared about the win. Right. It was the beatdown of Virgil, and Virgil sold it. and he was knocked out. And it was 2-on-1 with DiBiase against the Rhodes Gang, and he got the win against Dusty Rhodes. He got the roll up, and he grabbed the tights and all that stuff. So the funny thing was that, and then with what DiBiase berating him on the mic, he had to get the mic in. So, like I said, the win was meaningless. It was and you had to hear Piper trying to cheer us on. What he was narrating it. It's like, Virgil, do you have to eat this for the rest of your life and all that stuff? And then the look of Virgil is like a wake-up call, TW. That's what the beauty of it was. The great story. Say what you will about his promo skills, but at least that moment of acting and that moment of facial expressions, that was perfect. And then the receipt that was 4 years of slavery. That was 4 years of embarrassment.
4 years a slave.
Yeah, he was 4 years a slave, and he took it out on. And Roddy Piper was Brad Pitt in 12 Years a Slave. That's what it was. He freed him. He freed him mentally. He freed him spiritually. He freed him physically and all that stuff. And he beat the shit out of Ted DiBiase. My question to you is, he won the $1 million belt at SummerSlam 91, but he had that opportunity at WrestleMania. Do you think, in your humble opinion, would the win of the $1 million belt be better at WrestleMania or SummerSlam? What say you, TW, about that? Just, it's more of a hindsight. What do you think?
91, was that the year Hogan lost to Andre, or was that?
Where you get Andre? Andre was out.
No, what? I'm trying to think, because I thought the $1 million belt was given to him because they didn't give him the world title.
Right, he made the belt in 89.
Oh, then why'd you say WrestleMania and SummerSlam?
WrestleMania 7. He had a chance at the $1 million belt.
Yeah.
Won the match by countout, but didn't win the belt.
Who?
SummerSlam, Virgil.
Oh, Virgil. Oh, you had me confused. I thought you were talking about DiBiase not being the world champion and then getting the SummerSlam or the.
No, I'm talking about Virgil. Would the win have been better at WrestleMania for the $1 million belt, or
if he did that, it would have been 3 months after the turn. You got to drag it out. So only because the turn happened if the turn would have happened at Survivor Series, then I would say WrestleMania would have been better. But WrestleMania, you leave disappointed, and you're happy 6 months later when he wins it at SummerSlam. 5 months later, whatever it is.
Okay, I'm just asking your opinion. I'm just saying, like.
You gotta get squeezed out of juice. You can't just have him win it 2 months after the turn, because then it's just done. Did DiBiase win it back?
Yeah, he got it back by Survivor Series 91.
Yeah, so your other option would be he lost it at WrestleMania and then he won it back at probably King of the Ring, not at whatever that was called.
Well, it wasn't King of the Ring yet, so I understand where you're going with.
When was the first King of the Ring?
93.
Oh, no shit. Did not know that.
For pay-per-view purposes, it was 93, but all house shows, they were doing it yearly, so neither here nor there. But with that being said, we're going to give you a little bit of a bonus, and this is for Black History Month in the month of February, where we're celebrating the face turn. And I don't know why people, are saying, Professor, this is not a face turn, this is a heel turn. But in 1986, Pistol Pez Whatley, aka Shaska Whatley.
You should change your background picture.
Well, it's hard to do that, on the live.
I knew I'd throw you off.
No, I'm not thrown off. I couldn't do. I was trying to do a split, but you neither here nor there. But I could try that, but then I mess up everything here. Right. But this is a bonus. This is a bonus for all the Reflectionites here. Pistol Pez Whatley does a babyface turn, in the professor's humble opinion, against Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. Why are people mad at the Professor, Reflectionites, that I say Pistol Pez, what he did was a babyface turn? You got to get into the context of why Pistol Pez went after Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. Now, in layman's terms, Pistol Pez was a serviceable hand, TW. You could agree with that. For NWA, it was a serviceable hand.
Hell yeah.
He fought Tully Blanchard. He fought Arn Anderson. He fought, all the ruffians, if you will. And he held his own, but Pistol Pez kind of reminds, for the Reflectionites, if they didn't watch him, no different than SD Jones. Gives you a good match, serviceable hand. So we say that.
Yep.
So he's doing his thing.
If you would have compared him to S.C. Jones, with your back to him, you've been laying on the ground too. You couldn't have said he was like Steve Lombardi. You couldn't have said he was like Quick Draw McGraw. Nope. You had to compare him to another black man. So you're just like Woogie Woogie.
No, I just said I'm just going by merit. I didn't go by anything else. He was better than Steve Lombardi. He was better than Dusty Wolf. But he was as equal as S.D. Jones.
S.D. got a WrestleMania match. So did George.
Right. I'm just saying, but I'm just it. Well, this is 6-7. S.D. Jones and Pistol Pez really kind of balance each other out. But anyway, neither here nor there. Pistol Pez was it he being interviewed by Bob Cottle or David Crockett? I forget which one, but it was either one of those. I think it was a worldwide TW.
It wasn't Bob Cottle.
Then it was David Crockett. Then neither here nor there. But he's doing his spiel. He's saying
putting
that
over the baby faces.
He's covering. He's got Dusty Rhodes' back. He's got the Road Warriors back if they need his services for the 4 Horsemen and all that stuff. And then some motherfucker comes grandstanding, taking my man Pistol Pez's interview time, and it's Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. Pistol Pez at first, Reflectionites, is very happy to see his friend, but then something happens. Something just triggers Pistol Pez Whatley TW, and Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man turns into what everything else. I'm not going to say the R word, but he did not look at Pistol Pez as an equal. Pistol Pez is like his main man, Martin Luther the King. Judge me by my character, not by the color of my skin. And once Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man, that racist bastard, called him the best black wrestler that he ever seen, did you see Pistol Pez's eyes light up? My man looked like, what?
He did the Hulk Hogan. You.
Yeah, he was like, you. And then beat the shit out of him. He liberated himself from Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man's liberal racism. He did not look at him as his equal. He looked at him as his underling and all that stuff. So TW, that is why I say that Pistol Pez not only is a liberation, but is one of the greatest babyface turns in wrestling history. And it's apropos that we're celebrating Black History Month. What's the TW?
This babyface turn, this didn't happen to be when he started wearing a top hat, a bow tie, and a vest, and call himself Shaska Whatley, is it?
No, that's a year later, and that's the Shaska and then the Jive Tones.
Who was his partner?
Damn, I forget his name.
Wasn't Iceman Parson.
No, it wasn't. But like I said, it was the Jive Tones.
But the best part of this is he's mad because he gets called the best black wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of his ass whooping, he calls Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant a honky right as he's getting pulled away. And the best part is all the dudes that he just said he had their back.
Tiger Conway Jr. is his partner in Jive Tones.
Yep. And but he talked about having Magnum's back. He talked about having Dusty's back. He talked about they're the ones that chased him off when he was beating up Boogie Woogie. But then they had some giant black dude come out too. Like we had to have another black guy to replace this black guy because we gotta roll him in. New guy, like Walking Dead. Once they killed a black guy off, once they brought a new black guy on, you knew the old black guy was getting killed on The Walking Dead.
It's funny because during this segment, TW, it's funny because who was shucking and jiving more? It wasn't Shaska. It was Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. He was stealing his thunder. He was taking Shaska Reflection. Let me give you this picture because people do not understand why the professor is saying this is a babyface turn. Shaska Whatley is like Little Richard. They stole everything from Little Richard. They stole his moves. They stole his music. The white man stole everything from Little Richard, and he never reaped the benefit. So now Shaska TW is looking at Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. You're stealing my thunder. You're stealing my cadences. You're stealing my shucking and jiving. I can't dance. You're stealing everything from me, and you're probably getting 10 times more money than I'm getting. And once he said,
and he's his driver.
Well, we don't know that, but if he was his driver, then he really deserved that receipt. But anyway, that's a good call, TW. But I'm just giving you all the logistics in the world. He was Little Richard. He's like, yo, dude, you don't look at me as my equal. You don't look at me as an ally. You just look at me as a black guy. What's the ATW? Is he justified in feeling that way?
Such a what for? But the biggest question of all for me has always been, how in the hell is Boogie Woogie Man ever won a match, period, let alone titles, and been there for years. He's horrible. Absolutely horrible. And I'd be lying if I didn't say I enjoyed watching him get his beat down by Pez Whatley.
And you know that too, and you know what's funny? My man Pistol Pez was prepared. My man had scissors in his back pocket. I don't know why. You know, again, that's kind of like, you know, that's stereotypical. Like what you saying about all African Americans? They carry weapons, but this man had a weapon in his back pocket. It happened to be scissors, and he cut the you know, his tail, if you will, Reflectionites off. It just, you know, compounded an '86 rivalry. And again, Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant had a rivalry with Paul Jones, and who did Pistol Pez go to?
Yeah, because he was the manager of the Giants, right?
No, the Jive Tones was actually their own entity, but he had.
Well, I just remember Pez Whatley being with Paul Jones and Manny Fernandez.
Well, he needed backup because again, he can't get backup from Dusty Rhodes, even though he was justified. Reflectionites. He couldn't get backup from the Road Warriors because he was justified. He couldn't get backup from Magnum TA because he was justified. The Rock and Roll Express. You see the consistency. TW racism. All these white dudes.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's what happens.
Right. So now you had to go with you're right. Enemy of my enemy is my friend. So out of business sense, it made all the business sense in the world to get backup. And who was the best backup that Pistol Pez could get and get paid for? Paul Jones and his army of the Barbarian, Manny Fernandez, and Rick Rude and Baron Von Raschke. I remember those names. And they went after Jimmy Woogie Man Valiant. They got his hair, they got his beard, and all that stuff. So TW.
They knew was get rid of him.
Yeah, they couldn't get. Well,
that was there like cockroaches at night.
The only thing that got rid of Jimmy Woogie Man Valiant Reflectionites was the economics and inflation, because that's when he couldn't stay in the Crockett's because they were kind of like cutting his salary and all that stuff. So TW.
I think he's wrestling next week at a bingo hall in Taylor, Michigan. He's one of them dudes that didn't save his money.
How old is he?
He might be dead, dude. He's alive.
No, he's alive.
I don't think I've seen any reports of his death. But dude, there's times like in this promo, he's got a Yokozuna ass. And other times he looks like he's built like a crutch. He's like aged skinny. And I think that was towards the end when he was really skinny. But still had that ZZ Top beard. And it's nuts that that's Johnny V's brother.
Yeah, it's very.
He's dead. He died a horrible death, that guy.
Yeah, he did. So, in closing, TW, what's say? Well, not about the angle and the babyface turn, but you know that turn, if you will. I'm not going to say babyface. I'm going to say babyface. You can say heel turn if you want, TW. But that turn is like what you keep saying. We didn't see this coming. Technically, there was technically no friction between Pez Whatley and Boogie Woogie Man Valiant until he said black. That just opened his eyes. He was like 400 years of slavery, 400 years of oppression. He remembered the Martin Luther King.
He was old enough. He might have been a slave for about a week or two.
That's fucked up. But anyway, need to hear no that. But he remembered all that shit. He remembered Jackie Robinson, all this shit. But TW, this turn can only happen in the South. I don't think this could happen in WWE. Do you agree with that? Or you have a different take?
The fans immediately went, "Thank God! Now we can boo that black motherfucker. Let's go."
You agree with that? You got it.
Yeah. I know what you were setting up.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, it can only happen. Well, it can only happen in the South, but it can only happen in the territories because it's relatable to the fan base to do that. And again,
you know what? To be fair, there's probably a few dudes around there was like, he's right, man. Why do you have to call him the best black athlete? He can be one of the best wrestlers, period. But so there's probably some Karens down there that were on Pez's side.
I'll tell you one thing. Junkyard Dog was like, yes, when he was watching it on WWE, when he was at WWE watching on Superstation.
When he was watching from Teddy DiBiase's wedding, when he was watching that shit on closed circuit.
That too. They were just happy and elated to see Pez Whatley give that receipt to Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant. So, TW, I'm going to give you a little bit of a wild card here. Now, with Soul Train Jones, I'm going to go back to the Virgil thing. So, you talked about the aftermaths with seeing Soul Train Jones and all that stuff. we've seen Virgil have very below average promos, and we can understand why Vince McMahon couldn't make him a main eventer, but he was a serviceable mid-carder to get over, like, you know, to get like Sid Justice over, to get like Ric Flair over and all that stuff. So TW, if Vince McMahon let him be Soul Train Jones without being involved with Ted DiBiase, do you think he would have been successful as Soul Train? Maybe he would have been Soul Man Jones or Soul something Jones, but the WWE would have changed it. But if he kept the character and moniker and the mannerisms of Soul Train Jones into WWF, would it have been successful, or would he have been stagnant in the same spot?
It would have been successful if he would have came sooner. If he would have came when Coco Beware and the Bird were everywhere, and Jake the Snake and the Snake, and the Bulldogs had Matilda and all that. But by the time he got there, I think Soul Train Jones would be dead in the water. It would have been a die, Rocky, die situation, especially if they tried to make him a babyface and felt like they were, because that's when the fan base was changing around that time. Obviously, it was worse when Rocky got there. It was almost cheer every heel and boo every bad guy by then. But I just think, which, you know what? Fucking Bob Holly got over, so I don't know how that happened. So maybe there was a Sparky Plug. I mean, not Bob Holly, but they did eventually go away from the Sparky Plug shit. But I think it would have came across like those 94, was it, when they brought in all those Memphis guys and called them TL Hopper and the Goon, and they made jobbers with gimmicks instead of just being Dusty Wolf. He was dirty Dusty Wolf with an eye patch. I think it would have felt like that. Okay. Well, the other thing, I mean, I'm not gonna pull it off the wall, but the greatest hits legend figures, Target does this line called Legends, right? They're on series whatever with Mr. Perfect, Bulldog, Heenan, and RVD now. Well, right before that, it was Dusty, a young Cody when he was dashing, Cody Rhodes, Red Rooster, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and Virgil. And this Virgil, it's easily one of the best figures I've ever seen. Like, I might have to buy another one to open it just to have him out. Put the $1 million belt on him and put him in my Hall of Champions. But he's got the red suit with no sleeves, holding a wad of money. And he was one of the things about DiBiase right away when he first got there, Virgil made you take him serious. You know what I mean? Like, as pompous as DiBiase was, you were always afraid because Virgil was like this behind him, like, you got to get through me to get through him. And at that time, I was still believing it all. So I just thought, it's like he was Diesel before Diesel got there. That was Virgil. And people were intimidated by him. They were beat up by him. He helped DiBiase win matches. So, but that figure is one of the nicest figures I've ever seen made, honestly. I think there's another version of it where he's in the white and purple suit that kind of matched DiBiase's white suit. But that red figure with the white shirt, it's just, he looks like $1 million. And you got to defend him a little bit on the promos, because he probably wasn't very good when he got there. But when you don't let him talk for 4 years, he ain't getting better. No, again, I'm just asking. It's not a what if; it's just hypothetical. If he kept his Soul Train gimmick, could he have gotten over? So I don't think it would have worked. For example, when he turned on DiBiase, that place lit up. But eventually, he just became another already in the ring Virgil, like you said, to get over other guys. And that gear he wore wasn't far off from that Soul Train Jones. It just didn't have blue. He had the red and white pink stripes. It looked like a barber pole. It made no sense to me.
Like, no, you said he looked like Apollo Creed, and his tights in the South, he was Apollo Creed light, if you will.
Yeah.
So 30 seconds, TW, and then we'll get out of here. Do you think Virgil has a spot in the WWE Hall of Fame? Because he's not officially in it. Does he deserve it?
Well, I hate to keep harping on Coco Beware, but if Coco's in there, Virgil should be in there. Because Coco didn't do shit. What did Coco do? He came to the ring with the fucking Bird. He got people to like him. He was over, and then he was gone. He did do pretty good. He did a lot of good singing. But but I think Virgil... Oh man, I think what hurts him is how his life ended, dude. It was very sad, he was the joke to everybody. I mean, I remember it just used to bum me out. It's like, because you'd see wrestlers talking trash about him, and again, we don't know him. Maybe he was an asshole. I don't know, but asshole or not, he's still one of the boys. And you see that he's living in a fucking subway station and you don't help them. And then, and then you got Vince who helps everyone. You got the guy's been there for 3 weeks and they pay for him to go to rehab. You know what I mean? And then Virgil's just left high and dry. Like, and again, I think I have heard stories where he wasn't very nice to people and he was always trying to work people and all that. I do know that about that dude from Men on a Mission. That guy was trying to rope a dope all the indie wrestlers all the time. Oscar, is that the manager?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mo, Mabel, and Oscar. Yeah. You just got to give me $250. I get you on this European tour for 2 weeks, $2,000. You never see him again.
Well, again, we'll see if Virgil will ever get inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame.
DiBiase's in there, right?
Yeah, he's in there.
Did he bring up Virgil when he got indicted? Or indicted? He was about to get indicted.
Look at that racial reflector.
He spits. His son's
Did he get indicted?
One son's in jail. The other one's probably going.
He spits. Indicted. Wow, my good. But anyway, I don't know. No, he did. Shout him out. He gave his real name. He gave his government name and all that stuff. So with that being said,
then I like that he did that at least. But just like I said, it's a sad demise, and I don't know. The other thing I think would stop him from getting in there is if Buddy's homeless. That means who's going to induct him? Who's going to represent him on the stage? There might not. I think he might get one of those. Also this year, and talk about the reporter wing, and then they throw up like 7 guys from the black and white era that none of us know.
Well, he already died. Well, that year where he could have been inducted with the people who had died that year, he already passed that window. So it doesn't. He would have to get inducted posthumously or with family lineage. So with that being said, we close on this Spotlight edition. Happy Black History Month, Reflectionites, and happy
in January.
Well, again, it fits with what I wanted to do. So, revolutionary. I'm a revolutionary, that, TW. But with that being said, what we're gonna do next week? Well, before the professor has to edify the masses in a couple of weeks because I got some real life situations. We got one more thing to do, TW, and we're gonna go back.
The A's is back.
No, I gotta do things. I gotta edify the women. I gotta go to the.
Oh, you're back on. You flipped. It was heads. You're going back to girls.
It's always been that way. But anyway, neither here nor there. So with that being said, TW, we're gonna go back to the movies, and we are gonna talk about a Mexican wrestling movie from 1971 because you talked about something with midgets.
Time out.
Say what?
Okay. Mm-hmm. You didn't give me any credit for getting us up to the 154 followers. I got like 10 of them in an hour. Second. Dude, I went through and I looked at the views. And it is the movies more often than not that has 30 views, 60 views. Hey. There was one we did had 19 views. It was something about Sunny or something. It was something about a manager turn.
It was the NXT show. But that was when
the
NXT. That was my channel was new. I didn't do all the stuff. Yeah, I couldn't.
Well, let's start resharing that. We got to get that 19 up or delete it. One of the two. But now we're gonna do another movie when I think the last 4 movies combined had. Oh, that was the other one. It was like 27 views. It was Chris Jericho's Christmas in the Heartland movie.
Hey, like I said, it's an unpopular thing, but I found it.
We got to tell the people this. Whoever's going to listen to this one, because they're going to see Teddy DiBiase, they're going to see Virgil. We're going to find out if people care about this one. But if they do, and you're listening, and we get to that 150, 200, we had one that was like thousands. I can't remember which one it was, but there was one that had thousands of views. And also, that's just YouTube.
The Crush heel turn.
The Crush Macho Man was 1,000 something. But that's just YouTube. There might be more people listening on Apple. There might be some listening on Spotify or Podbean or whatever. But listen, if you're listening to this and you're not on YouTube, go back and watch these dumbass Chris Jericho zombie movies and Christmas movies. And so you will know without a shadow of a doubt that we're taking one for the team when we watch these movies and tell you about it.
And we're going to go back to 1971, TW. We're going to talk about Los Campeones Justiceros, or the Champions of Justice, with the Blue Demon, with all this stuff. But there's Mexican midgets. So that's all I wanted to do.
Little people. Don't get us kicked off of YouTube. Little people.
Well, I got to be monetized to get kicked off, so I'm not monetized. Fuck you, YouTube. But with that being said, TW, give out those socials so we can get out of here.
Alrighty. You can follow us by following the PWC Network at Podbean.com, where you can also find HAMIN Media Group at Podbean.com. Our show on X is at PWR Reflection. You can find Big Ray Hernandez, not Billy Ray Valentine, all over every internet on the platform. You just type in at Big Ray Hernandez. And he does the Next Level podcast every Wednesday to recap the Tuesday night NXT show. And every Tuesday he does the Raw recap of the previous night's Raw. You can catch me on Instagram and X at TommyWonder19. Snapchat is #Wonder. Facebook.com/Tommy Wonder. And that is the Tom Bryant one, by the way. The Tommy Wonder one, I don't even know what that one is. And then at Instagram, TikTok, and my other X is at the Tommy Wonder. And you can find Big Vito and Noel at the Big Vito brand on TikTok.
And we always need new subscribers. So tell a friend to go to youtube.com/
like, share, subscribe.
Pro Wrasslin Reflections. Like, share, and subscribe to the most nostalgic podcast out there with myself and the Tommy Wonder. Follow me on my Twitter at PWSOPRF. That's PWSOProf. And also follow me on Blue Sky at pwsoprof.bsky.social. No, what do you mean no?
I'm not following that. I'm not even logged into that shit.
Follow the train. That's all it is. Follow the train of social media. I might start a Pro Wrasslin Reflection Kick channel so we could do this live. So with that being said, I'm the professor. That's Mr. Wonderful, the solo idiot, Dr. Frickenstein, and
you like my shirt, man.
Yeah, it's nice now. You showed it off.
This Calgary is from Calgary.
Good. Can I do the outro? Can I do the outro?
You can do it. You can.
And now he's the undisputed, undeniable Detroit Rock City's Universal Heavyweight Champion of the World, the Tommy Wonder, saying good night, and we'll see you next time here at the PWR Podcast at the HAMIN Media Group at Podbean.com. Peace.
Peace. Bang, bang.
That's last week, motherfucker.
It's the best, man.